Chapter 1. At the company's annual gala, my girlfriend, the CEO, had just announced that I'd won the grand prize, a cruise for 2 with her. But before I could even react, her favorite male assistant, Ethan, snatched the ticket from her hand, tore it to shreds, and then took her hand, declaring possessively to me, "Who do you think you are? The president is my fiancée, and I will not allow her to go on a trip with you, my girlfriend, Victoria," who had always been a stickler for keeping business and personal life separate, not only did nothing to stop him, but publicly voided the prize. She then handed the project I was about to complete over to Ethan, under the guise of rewarding me with a few days off. My colleagues all whispered for me to keep my cool. After all, he was the CEO's boy toy, right? I just nodded agreeably, took off my lead designer's ID badge, and handed over all my work files. "A few days off? That's not nearly enough," I said magnanimously. "I'm resigning. Assistant Miller can have all my projects. I wish the president a long and happy love life." Chapter 1 continued the moment I threw in the towel. The entire hall fell silent, then erupted. My colleagues rushed over, urging me not to be impulsive. I was a founding member, after all. I had poured 10 years of blood, sweat, and tears into this company, helping build it from nothing into a powerhouse on the verge of going public next year. To leave now just wasn't worth it. But Victoria, my girlfriend of 10 years, a relationship we had never made public, merely glanced at me without a word. Her assistant, Ethan Miller, saw her silent approval, and his expression grew even more smug. "Sincere," he said with a sneer. "You're threatening to quit just because the president won't go on a cruise with you? You really think you're all that? You think the company can't function without you?" Other colleagues tried to smooth things over. Assistant Miller, Manager Harrison, didn't mean it like that. He was just, "It's all right, Big L," I said, patting my colleague Lawrence on the shoulder to cut him off. I waved a hand breezily. "My mind is made up. Everyone, I'll see you when I see you." Just as I was about to leave, Victoria, who had been silent all this time, finally spoke, her voice devoid of any emotion. "Sincere Harrison, you've given 10 years to this company. It wasn't easy getting to this point. If you leave, don't regret it later." Her words sounded like a warning, a way for me to save face. But I knew better. She was just maintaining her public image as a loyal and righteous leader, absolving herself of the responsibility of casting aside a key contributor. I smiled faintly. "Don't worry," I said. "I won't regret a thing." As I walked away from the gala, memories of the past decade flooded my mind. 10 years ago, I had helped Victoria build this company from the ground up. To grow the business, I worked day and night, churning out design after design, taking our firm from obscurity to an industry leader. I never imagined I'd be the one forced out. But we were on different paths now. If Victoria believed that she and her little assistant Ethan could lead the company to a brighter future, then I would respect her choice. Before leaving the office for good, I went to my desk to pack my things. A single cardboard box and a laptop held 10 years of my life's work. The only thing left on the desk was a small ceramic figurine of a couple. It was a gift from Victoria to celebrate my first major project for the company, back when we were just starting out. I remember working for 3 straight nights to finish the designs. When I handed them to her, she had hugged me, crying. Sincere, she'd wept. "You're killing yourself for me, for this company. When we make it big, you'll be my second in command. This company has no future without you." Well, the company was big now, and I had become redundant. I was about to toss the figurine into the trash when Ethan swaggered over, a triumphant look on his face. "Sincere, still here? The president has already appointed me as the acting manager in your place," he gloated. "She said if I do a good job, I'll get a promotion and a raise. You're a cast-off now." He paused, studying my face for a reaction. When I said nothing, his grin widened. "It makes sense if you think about it. The president is a multimillionaire CEO, and you're just a junior manager. You're not getting any younger, your career has plateaued, and you can't even give her the emotional support she needs. So it was only a matter of time before you were thrown aside, don't you think?" He was doing everything he could to get a rise out of me, but I felt nothing. Ethan was the kind of guy who had a silver tongue but not an ounce of actual talent. Not long after he was hired, Victoria had been on the verge of firing him, but Ethan started shadowing her, flattering her endlessly, and soon she never mentioned firing him again. Not only did she promote him to her personal assistant, but she would praise his garbage-tier designs as if they were masterpieces, poisoning the company culture until sucking up became the new norm. I had no interest in trading barbs with him. I just nodded perfunctorily. "You're right, you're so right. I wish you two a long and happy life together." Ethan seemed to choke on his words, desperately searching my face for any sign of a crack in my composure, but found none. Just then, the familiar click-clack of high heels approached. A glint appeared in Ethan's eyes. He suddenly snatched the ceramic figurine from the desk and smashed it on the floor. With a sharp crack, the pieces scattered. He pressed his hand down onto the shards and screamed, "Sincere, the manager position is yours. I'll resign right now, just don't hit me, please don't hit me." Before I could even process what was happening, Victoria shoved me aside and shielded Ethan with her body. She frantically cradled his hand. Seeing the blood, this woman who was normally so calm and collected, lost her mind. She whirled on me, roaring with fury. "Sincere, are you insane? This is the office. How dare you assault someone? I see now that firing you was absolutely the right decision. Right now, drive me and Ethan to the hospital. If anything happens to his hand, you will be held fully responsible with that." She threw her car keys at my chest. I looked at her, at the way she was fiercely protecting her little darling, and suddenly the woman before me was a complete stranger. Victoria was smart, she was rational, yet she hadn't even bothered to ask what happened. She didn't even notice that the shattered object on the floor was the gift she had personally chosen for me, a gift I had treasured for 10 years. How could I possibly be the one to break it? Whatever. It didn't matter anymore. I picked up the car keys, went downstairs and drove them to the hospital. In the back seat, Ethan leaned against Victoria's shoulder, whining pitifully. "Miss Preston, I think I should just resign. Give the project back to Manager Harrison before he gets emotional and attacks me again." Victoria soothed him gently. "Ethan, I'm the boss here. Sincere is just a fired employee. As long as I'm here, no one is going to hurt you." Sitting in the driver's seat, watching their tender moment, all I felt was a bitter irony. I sent a single text message. "Dad, I've decided to come home and inherit the family business. Chapter 2. I come from the Harrison family, the wealthiest family in the region, but I had always wanted to make a name for myself on my own merits. During my first venture, I met Victoria. I was drawn to her fierce, unyielding spirit. After we started dating, I willingly sold my own company to support her dream, so we could build something together. To cut costs, I took the lowest possible salary without complaint. My father called me several times, asking me to come home and take over the family fortune, but I always refused, pouring my heart and soul into Victoria and our company. Now the love and the dream I had fought for felt like a joke. At the hospital, Victoria immediately went with Ethan to get his hand treated. I was about to leave when I heard her call my name from behind. "Wait." Sincere, she ran up to me, breathless, and grabbed my hand. Her tone softened. "I'm sorry, I was too harsh with you earlier. Ethan has depression, which is why I didn't stop him from acting out at the gala. I was just scared just now, so please don't overthink it." I looked at her, at this long unseen gentleness, but felt no stirrings in my heart. I just waited calmly for what she would say next. Victoria paused, then said seriously, "About your resignation. I've thought it over and I can't accept it. This company is the fruit of our labor. It's going public next year. If I let you go, what will the employees think of me? Besides," she took a step closer, her gaze soft and affectionate, "the figurine that broke was the one I gave you all those years ago. It made me think about our past. You've given so much to this company. I can't just abandon you like this. Take a few days off to rest. After a while, I'll find an excuse to bring you back. I'll even raise your salary by 30%, okay?" I looked at her, and all I felt was scorn. This whole impassioned plea to stay was in the end about her fear of gossip and damage to her reputation. As for her feelings, it was all an act. I was about to refuse when Ethan's voice called for Victoria from a nearby room. She immediately became anxious, with no time for a longer conversation. "It's settled then," she threw over her shoulder as she rushed to his side. I shook my head, a cynical smile on my face. Too bad. I wasn't going to waste any more of my life on her. Back at our apartment, I gathered some of the recent design drafts for my project, intending to destroy them. They represented countless hours of work, but they were a sunk cost, and sunk costs shouldn't influence major decisions. Just as I had the pile of drafts ready, Victoria came home. She stared at the papers in my hand, her expression strange. Luckily, the shards didn't go too deep. "Ethan's hand is fine, he just needs a few days to recover." I said nothing, moving to put the drafts into the shredder. She lunged forward and slammed the off button. "Don't destroy these," she said, looking a bit guilty. "I'll take them for Ethan to use. His hand is injured, and a few projects are urgent. Since you're almost done with these anyway, he can just polish them up and we can submit them. It's more efficient." She reached for the drafts, but I pulled them back sharply. "I am not giving him my designs," I said flatly, handing my hard work over to Ethan so he could take the credit. Did she really think I was that much of a fool? Victoria froze, her face etched with disappointment. "Sincere, you're becoming so petty. If you hadn't hurt his hand, would he need to use your drafts to finish the project?" Then, catching me off guard, she yanked a handful of pages from my grasp and stormed out, slamming the door behind her. I looked down at the remaining half-torn drafts in my hand. I felt ridiculous. I had given 10 years of my life. I got no love in return, no gratitude. And as I was leaving, she still wanted to rip a piece of me off to gild that pretty boy Ethan. The irony was suffocating, but it didn't matter. The drafts she stole were just initial sketches. They were a long way from being complete, and a hack like Ethan would never be able to get them to a point where a client would be satisfied. After shredding the rest of the drafts, I packed my bags and took everything that belonged to me. Before I left, I took off the ring from the ring finger of my left hand, the one Victoria and I had exchanged as a promise of our future, and placed it on the coffee table. Chapter 3. That night I moved back into my family's villa. My parents saw that I was troubled and didn't press me about Victoria. Instead, just before bed, Victoria called me. Her voice was tired and impatient from the moment I answered. "Sincere, have you resorted to running away from home now? Did everything I said to you at the hospital mean nothing? I already promised to keep your job and give you a raise. What more do you want to fuss about? If you're not back here by tomorrow night, we are completely over, and don't even think about coming back to the company." Then she hung up, not even giving me a chance to reply. It didn't matter. We were already over, and I had no intention of ever going back to that company. The next morning, my father took me to begin taking over parts of the family business. An assistant came to me. "Mr. Harrison, the contract with Miss Preston's company has expired. Should we renew it?" Only then did I remember. The only reason Victoria's company had landed a contract with Harrison Corporation was because my father, seeing me work myself to death on projects, had pulled some strings. In terms of qualifications, her company was nowhere near the level required for a partnership with us. "Follow standard procedure," I said coolly. The assistant understood. I was no longer giving Victoria a free pass. He then reminded me that there was a business banquet that evening hosted by Harrison Corp, and that my father wanted me to attend in his place. I agreed and threw myself into my work. Soon after, a notification popped up on my phone. It was from Ethan. "Check your feed." Confused, I opened my social media. The first post was from him. It was a picture of him in a new designer suit, holding hands with Victoria. The caption read, "The president is so generous to reward me for submitting the project on time last night. She took me on a date and bought me this suit. I'm the luckiest guy in the world." The comments section was full of our former colleagues, all fawning over them. Assistant Miller and the president look so good together, a perfect match. I bet it won't be long before Assistant Miller replaces Manager Harrison, maybe even gets promoted to vice president. Ethan replied with feigned humility. Then Victoria herself liked the post. She didn't deny any of the comments speculating about their relationship. She even added her own comment. "Keep up the good work, Ethan. Next year, I'll give you shares in the company." Looking at the screen, overflowing with Ethan's smug happiness, I scoffed. It seemed Victoria truly believed in his abilities. At this rate, the company wasn't far from going bankrupt. I casually liked the post. The moment I closed the app, Victoria called, her voice dripping with annoyance. "Why are you liking things like that? You've already quit. Do you have to make the employees misunderstand our relationship? I gave you an out last night. You should have taken it. Don't end up as an unemployed bum with no way to save face." The call ended again. I almost laughed out loud. Never mind that her little company was insignificant next to the Harrison Corporation. If I were to look for a job, countless major corporations would be fighting to hire me. Where did she get this confidence? That evening I arrived at the business banquet as planned. The first thing I saw was Victoria, arm in arm with Ethan, chatting and laughing with some business executives. "Miss Preston, I don't see that manager Harrison who used to be with you," one of them asked. "Oh, him. His work attitude was poor, so I fired him." As she was speaking, Ethan suddenly noticed me and called out in a snide voice, "Sincere, did you follow us here?" Chapter 4. Victoria's face darkened. She strode over to me, displeased. "What are you doing here?" Ethan snorted and immediately added, "Isn't it obvious? He's here to beg for forgiveness. Sincere, the president said you can come back to the company, but only as my assistant. How about it?" I replied blandly. "No, thank you. My status doesn't suit your company." Ethan burst out laughing. "Oh, so now you know your place?" Victoria looked at me impatiently. "We'll talk about work later. For now you should leave," she said coldly. "This banquet is hosted by the Harrison family, the wealthiest family in the region. I heard the Harrison heir himself will be here. Don't cause any trouble." I gave a half smile. "You do your thing, I'll do mine. I don't believe you have the authority to ask me to leave, do you?" Sincere Victoria's face grew colder, her patience completely gone. "Out of respect for our past, I was going to give you a chance, but you just don't know how to appreciate it. I am now officially informing you, we are broken up and the company will never hire you again. Your position will be officially taken over by Ethan Miller." After she said it, a fleeting expression of relief crossed her face. So she had finally said what she really meant. Ethan, standing beside her, looked even more triumphant. He gloated at me. "You really blew it, didn't you? Sincere, you should have quit while you were ahead. Now look at you, you've got nothing, ha-ha." Just then, two executives walked towards me, their faces lit with excitement. Victoria recognized them as clients. She shot me a glare and hurried to greet them with a smile. "Mr. Zimmerman, Mr. Wright, were you satisfied with the designs we sent over last night? Let's find some time to discuss the next project." The two men being intercepted looked annoyed. Mr. Zimmerman brushed her aside and said bluntly, "What was that garbage you submitted last night? A 3-year-old could have drawn something better. When we signed the contract, we specified that we only work with Mr. Harrison. Since your company changed designers without informing us, you can expect a letter from our lawyers." Victoria froze, trying desperately to explain. But the two executives walked right past her, came to me, and bowed respectfully. "Mr. Harrison," they said, fawning, "we've worked together many times, but we never imagined you were the son of the wealthiest man in the region. We look forward to your guidance in the future." In an instant, Victoria stared at me in utter disbelief, whispering to herself, "Son of the wealthiest man?" Chapter 5. "Sincere is the son of the wealthiest man? He's the Harrison heir? That's impossible." Victoria quickly turned and hurried after the two executives. "Mr. Zimmerman, Mr. Wright, Sincere is just an employee of mine. Are you sure you haven't mistaken him for someone else?" Ethan, standing beside her, nodded in agreement. "Sincere was just fired by our president. He wouldn't be trying to fool people just because he shares the same last name as the richest family, would he? You mustn't be deceived." Mr. Zimmerman's face turned grim. He let out a cold laugh. Deceive you? Why would Mr. Harrison need to do that? He was gaining experience at your company, but his true identity is the young master of the Harrison family. You're so blind you couldn't recognize greatness right in front of you, and you had the audacity to fire him? The nerve those words left Victoria completely dumbfounded. Soon, other guests recognized me and began to crowd around. It's Mr. Harrison, let's go pay our respects. So that's the Harrison heir, seeing the scene unfold. Victoria looked up at me, her eyes wide with desperation. Sincere, are you really the Harrison heir? Why did you never tell me? I saw the regret and remorse in her eyes, but said nothing. A throng of guests swarmed me, their faces plastered with sycophantic smiles, quickly pushing Victoria to the side. She called my name anxiously from behind the crowd, but no one made way for her. Mr. Harrison, you are truly a man of remarkable talent.
I'm Chairman Chen of the Fang Yu Group.
I'm Wang Kai from the Shulin Group. We look forward to working with you. These executives were all of a higher social standing than Victoria, yet they were treating me with such deference. Watching this, Victoria's face grew paler and paler. Finally, she snapped back to reality and started shoving her way through the crowd, shouting, "Everyone, move! Sincere as my boyfriend!" Move! Her shout caused the crowd to part. I, of course, heard her. The irony was palpable. In the 10 years we were together, I had almost never heard her so loudly and directly refer to me as her boyfriend. Now that we were broken up, now that she knew who I was, suddenly she was going public. Victoria finally pushed her way to me, her eyes red with unshed tears. "Sincere, Miss Preston, just a moment ago you said it yourself. We've broken up. You fired me. So please don't spread rumors here. It reflects poorly on you." My cold, distant tone made the tears finally fall from her eyes. "Sincere, I was just joking earlier. Please don't be mad at me, okay? I was actually planning to make you vice president. I had to laugh at that. And I did. Miss Preston, we worked together for 10 years. Let's not waste time on empty promises." But Victoria tried to say more, but several executives who recognized her and now understood the situation between us started to clamor. "Miss Preston, what is the quality of these designs you've been submitting lately? Can't you see all these amateur mistakes? I was planning to visit your office tomorrow, but it turns out you kicked Mr. Harrison out?" Others chimed in. "Victoria, our project specifically required Mr. Harrison's designs. What were you thinking, firing him? Your company is in breach of contract. Get ready to pay up." That's right, pay up. Chapter 6. The chorus of accusations grew louder, and Victoria became more and more flustered. She shot me a quick glance, and seeing that I had no intention of defending her, she bit her lip and said, "Don't worry, I will get Sincere to finish the designs for you. Just give me 2 days." I frowned. I was standing right here. I hadn't agreed to anything, and she was already making promises. The clients weren't fools. One of them shot back, "Miss Preston, who do you think you are? Mr. Harrison was gaining experience before, but now that you've fired him, you think you can just command the son of the richest man in the region to work for you? Have you looked in a mirror lately?" Pathetic, these were the same kinds of insults I had endured, while Victoria had stood by and said nothing. Now that the tables had turned, she couldn't take it. Her eyes, red-rimmed, were fixed on me. "If you'll excuse me, I'm going to get some air," I said coolly, and turned to leave. The crowd automatically parted for me. Victoria was left behind, surrounded by angry clients demanding compensation for breach of contract. Ethan ran over, trying to shield her, but after being called a kept man a few times, he scurried away to hide. I went out to the rooftop terrace for a breath of fresh air. Staring up at the starry night sky, I felt calm but also a little hollow. Thinking about Victoria's predicament didn't bring me the thrill of revenge I might have expected. It just made me reflect on how much things had changed. When I first met Victoria, she thought I came from an ordinary background. As the company grew, she started to worry that I had ulterior motives, that I would demand a stake in the company. The truth was, I couldn't care less about her shares. All I ever wanted was a sense of accomplishment. Money? I had more than enough, but Victoria grew more and more distant, and after becoming a CEO for so long, she even started to look down on me. The truth is, we were never on the same path to begin with. Suddenly, Victoria's voice came from behind me. She walked over, staring at me, her voice choked with a mixture of grievance, sorrow, and accusation. "Don't you have anything to explain to me?" I was confused. Explain what? We were already broken up. Why did you lie to me? Why did you play with my feelings? "Sincere, say something," Victoria sobbed, pounding my shoulder with her fists. The blows weren't hard, but they were filled with a sense of betrayal. I frowned, grabbed her wrists, and pushed her away. Her accusations made no sense. Who was the one that betrayed a 10-year relationship? "That's enough, Victoria. Please, have some self-respect," I said, my voice sharp. Victoria stared at me, seeing that the passion in my eyes was gone. She froze. As if realizing something, her expression grew more and more frantic. "Sincere, please don't be like this, okay? I forgive you for hiding your identity from me. Are you still upset about Ethan? That was just a joke. I'll fire him, okay? I love you, I really do, you can't leave me." She reached for my hand as she spoke, but I pushed her away again, more firmly this time. "Victoria, you're not the type to cling like this. We are over. Please stop bothering me." Chapter 7, Sincere, you... I had never spoken to Victoria with such a harsh tone before. Pushed away, she looked pained, her voice breaking as she choked out, "Sincere, what am I supposed to do? You can't just leave me with this mess. The clients specifically want your work. Ethan's designs will never pass. I'm sorry, but that's not my problem," I said flatly. "I'm not your employee anymore." Not wanting to get entangled with her any further, I left the banquet. When I got home, my phone was flooded with messages from her. She sent a picture of the ring I had left behind, our engagement ring, along with a tearful voice message. "Sincere, this ring symbolized our love. You said you would marry me, that you would love me for a lifetime. You said you would forgive me no matter what I did. You said that." Yes, I had said that. But I never imagined we would end up here. You don't fall out of love in a day. Sincere, please just help me. This company is something we built together. If you don't help me, it will go bankrupt. We don't have enough cash flow to cover all the breach of contract fees, you know that. Her messages kept coming, each one more desperate than the last. Then she started calling, a frantic, unfamiliar edge to her voice. Tired of it, I finally answered and said bluntly, "You can have Ethan do the designs. Who knows, if he tries hard enough, his work might even be better than mine." Before she could reply, I blocked her number. Ethan was now her company's project manager. Any problems with the projects were his responsibility. Victoria needed to pay the price for her choices. In the following days, Victoria didn't contact me, but I heard plenty of gossip from my old colleagues. "Sincere, you have no idea. The president has been on a rampage lately. My old friend Lawrence texted me. She's forcing us to work overnight, especially Ethan. She made him submit several different proposals for each project, and the clients rejected every single one. A few of us are holding the line, but the legal letters are piling up. Everyone's starting to quit and find new jobs. Today she called Ethan into her office and just ripped into him. Hold on, I'll send you a video." A moment later, a video file arrived. I opened it to the sound of Victoria slamming a stack of papers on Ethan's face. "With this level of skill, you want to be a manager?" She raged. "Look at what the clients are saying about you. All you do is run your mouth, and your work is absolute garbage." Ethan clutched his face, whimpering, "Miss Preston, I don't have enough experience. I'm still young." Young? When Sincere was your age, he was already landing major clients and completing huge projects on his own. "Ethan, you've been with this company for 2 years and haven't improved one bit. If this next design doesn't get approved, you're fired. You're not even half the man." Sincere's Chapter 8. Victoria's face was cold with fury. It was strange to see. When I was still at the company, I was always the one cleaning up his messes. Victoria would just protect Ethan, always saying, "He's still young, he needs more experience." So she knew all along that I was far more capable than him at the same age. She had just chosen to ignore it. Watching the video, I felt a sense of release, as if a weight had been lifted. I texted Lawrence back, "Big L, if you're thinking of jumping ship, let me know." He replied with a string of excited agreements. A week later, Victoria cornered me on the street. She looked exhausted, all her former energy and confidence gone. "Sincere, can we talk?" she pleaded. "I'm begging you." I hesitated for a moment, then agreed. We sat down at a nearby restaurant. Victoria poured her heart out, telling me how the company was in chaos without me. "Sincere, I finally realize how important you are to me," she said. "I admit, I let success go to my head these past few years. I lost sight of myself. Ethan, he's a complete waste. I was wrong about him, and I let him hurt you. I'm sorry, I'm so sorry. But we had 10 years together. How many 10 years does a person get in life? Even friends after a fight wouldn't just leave each other to burn." She looked at me, her eyes glistening with tears. "Sincere, help me. Please?" I sighed. I couldn't help her, not really. Besides, I was extremely busy with my new responsibilities. But I did offer a solution. "I can call my old clients and ask them to give you an extension. After that, you need to find a better designer to take over the projects and mitigate your losses. That's all I can do." I paid the bill, stood up, and left. As she watched me walk away, a single tear of regret rolled down Victoria's cheek. In the days that followed, I had no time to keep up with Victoria's affairs. My parents had arranged for me to meet someone. Her name was Isabel Montgomery. She was also from a wealthy family, an only child. My parents told me that, like me, she had spent her younger years trying to build her own business. Her studio had grown successfully and eventually merged with her family's enterprise. We chatted for a bit and found we had a lot in common, including strikingly similar pasts. She had also been in a 6-year relationship that ended when she caught her boyfriend cheating on her. She hadn't dated since. We saw each other for a while and quickly decided to get married. We were both at that age. We weren't chasing passionate romance anymore. Our values aligned. There were no major conflicts, so we tied the knot. A month into our marriage, I went with Isabel for a checkup at the hospital. As we were leaving, I saw a gurney being wheeled in from an ambulance. On it, her face covered in blood, was Victoria. Chapter 9. The person with her was Ethan. When he saw me, he lunged, ready to attack. Before I could react, Isabel kicked him, sending him sprawling. Isabel had studied Taekwondo. She looked fierce and capable. It was the first time I had ever felt protected by my wife. It wasn't a bad feeling. "Who are you?" Isabel demanded coldly. Ethan started wailing. "Sincere, you bastard, you've ruined the president. Today was the court date. She has to pay them $60 million. Right after the verdict, she was hit by a car. This is all your fault." I frowned. I hadn't expected the judgment to come so quickly. But what did it have to do with me? I had already done what I could to help. This was just a tragic accident. I had no desire to argue with him. After confirming that Victoria's injuries weren't life-threatening, I took Isabel's arm and left the hospital, wanting no part in this drama. "Still thinking about your ex-girlfriend?" Isabel teased as we walked out. I smiled and played along. "And what if I am?" The words were barely out of my mouth when her heel came down hard on my foot. I yelped in pain, but she just sniffed and walked on as if nothing had happened. "Don't forget, you're a married man, that woman." I chuckled to myself, not angry at all. Our married life was peaceful and happy. Isabel and I were a power couple, each managing our respective family empires. Soon, I completely took over from my father, becoming the head of Harrison Corporation. In just 2 years, I quadrupled the company's market value. Victoria's company, however, declared bankruptcy and became a laughingstock in the industry. I heard she had to sell her house, her car, and all her assets just to pay off the debts. 10 years of hard work, and in the end, She was left with nothing. She apparently locked herself in her room for a whole month and nearly died from illness. Hearing this, I only felt a sense of wistful sympathy. Everyone has their own life to live. It was time for me to look forward. One day I was conducting interviews for a new personal assistant. When I walked into the conference room, I saw one of the applicants was Victoria. "Sincere," she said softly, looking at me. The other interviewers all glanced at me, assuming she was my hand-picked candidate. I walked to my seat with a blank expression and gestured to the panel. "Let's begin." A flicker of disappointment crossed Victoria's eyes. She proceeded through the standard interview process: self-introduction, work experience. When an interviewer asked why she was applying for the chairman's assistant position, her eyes locked onto mine, filled with a deep, longing affection. When I was building my own company, I always had others assisting me. Now I hope to use my years of experience to assist someone else. I couldn't help but frown. It was becoming clearer and clearer that she was here for me. But there was no possibility of a future between us. I was married, my relationship with Isabel was growing stronger every day, and I would never hire an ex-girlfriend as my personal assistant. I made an excuse and left halfway through the interview. The result was obvious: Victoria was not hired. She tried to see me, but I refused. That evening, she was waiting for me at the office entrance. She looked at me with pleading, pitiful eyes. "Sincere, it's been so long. Are you still not willing to forgive me?" Chapter 10. Ever since we broke up, I haven't spent a single day not regretting it, she continued. "Do you think I was after your status and money? No. I miss you, I love you, I couldn't take it anymore and cut her off. That's enough, Victoria. I'm married. You are not a good fit for my company. Neither your work history nor your experience as an assistant qualifies you for this position. Please stop coming to find me." Just then, Isabel walked up. Her hand was on her pregnant belly as she gave Victoria a brief, dismissive glance. Victoria watched in disbelief as I took Isabel's arm and walked past her, got into our car, and drove away. Tears streamed down her face. A few years later, I ran into some old colleagues, and some of them would occasionally bring up Victoria. Once upon a time, she and I were comrades on a shared dream, the closest of lovers. Who could have imagined that, so many years later, this would be our ending? I heard Victoria tried to start a new business a few more times. The longest one lasted 2 years before the stress of the work made her ill and forced her to rest. She left the region. The next time I saw her, another 10 years had passed. I was on vacation with Isabel and our daughter at a scenic resort when I saw a familiar figure. I almost didn't recognize her. The old Victoria was a stunning, imposing woman with the powerful aura of a CEO. The woman sitting at the entrance of a small roadside shop, wearing faded clothes with her hair tied back carelessly, was calling out to tourists. Suddenly, her eyes met mine. She recognized me and called out, "Sincere." With Isabel's blessing, I spoke with her for a while. It turned out she had married Ethan after all, but he was lazy and entitled, living off her while complaining that she was getting old. They eventually divorced after a huge fight. After the divorce, Victoria discovered that Ethan had run up massive debts and disappeared. For all she knew, he could be dead or alive. Hounded by creditors, she had fled here to live in solitude. She said that if she could go back in time, she would have given me half the company's shares and married me to start a family. But there are no do-overs in life. "Sincere, I wish you happiness," she said with a smile as we left. It was a bitter, sorrowful smile. Looking at her, I could never have imagined that the vibrant, ambitious girl from all those years ago would choose to live out the rest of her life like this. Life is truly unpredictable. But this is the path each person chooses for themselves. Every step is their own, so no one should speak of regret. The end.